Hello everyone, Phoenix Knight here. Welcome to the channel, and welcome back to the background campaign for Hero Realms. After we wrapped the fall campaign in Arkham Horror, the card game, earlier this week, today we're going to step back into our background campaign for Hero Realms. Sort of. Instead of having the next scenario in the main campaign, which would move us into the Lost Village campaign, we're going to take a shot at our first boss fight from Hero Realms. If you remember when I unboxed Hero Realms, the bundle I got also came with the boss decks, so we're going to try our luck with one of them today. I'll give the wizard some kind of reward if we win the scenario, if we win the boss fight, likely another character point, but I won't count it against the loss limit because this scenario isn't part of the main campaign. Anyway, to tie this fight into the main campaign, let's tell a small story. After defeating the Laughing Shadow, the wizard remained in Thandar to help the city pick up the pieces from the Runos ritual that had nearly destroyed the city. Lord Governor Rathiel accepted the wizard's help, and the wizard stayed for a few months. During that time, there were scattered reports of people disappearing again. Rathiel investigated, worried that the Runos might try again to destroy the city, but he found no connection to the Runos. Instead, what he found might have disturbed him more. A Lich had set up around the city and was abducting people. For what purposes, he had no idea, but Rathiel did know there was only one person who could stop it. The nameless wizard, the hero of Thandar. With the city behind him, the wizard ventured to confront the Lich. I know it's a lame and cliché story, but I don't need to elaborate here. I just need to tie the Lich fight into this campaign. Anyway, let's go ahead and meet our adversary first up. So, I was expecting this to be a whole challenge card, but instead what we're getting is basically an extra deck with it. I was figuring it would be like a special deck. But anyway, we'll move the camera just a touch. And here'll be a look at our Lich boss card. There's nothing really special here, but we will find out what... So the way this fight's going to work is we've actually got an extra deck over here of the minions. So some of the cards in the Lich's deck might reference a summoning. So we'll draw one of these and put it out, I believe, in play in the player's area, but end up playing in front of the Lich. So it basically acts as a champion for the opponent, so we can't ignore them if they don't have guard on them. Admittedly, this is going to be so this is the summoning deck that we'll be drawing from when that happens, or the Grimoire, I should say. Admittedly, this is going to be a very weird video because I'm going to be playing Hero Realms against myself, essentially, where I'm going to try to have the wizard win honestly, but it's going to be a bit challenging. Anyway, we do have a power we need to worry about with the Lich. Corrupt the city. When you shuffle your deck, count the number of cards in your deck in hand and in play. Don't count the Grimoire. If the total is 20 or more, you begin corrupting the city. The citizens begin to do your bidding and you gain the power listed below. If that total is 30 or more, you have corrupted the city. Flip this card over. We'll worry about that more when we get into actually flipping the card over. So we can expend this card to perform a summoning, gain combat equal to the size, and then gain combat equal to the starting size of the party. When playing against a boss, gain 3. So you could use this against other boss decks. Boss decks count as 3 players if you're playing it for that purpose. But anyway, the power would be 1 there, plus anything from the summoning. But anyway, so the way this fight's actually going to work is the Lich will have one soul jar per character in the party. There's up to 6 here, but because there's only one character the Lich is going to be fighting against, the wizard, the Lich will only have 1 soul jar. But from that soul jar, the Lich will get an extra 30 health above the starting health of the soul jar. So if we break the soul jar, we win. And the soul jar is a power the Lich will be able to use. So the Lich has expend to acquire a cost of 4 or less for free. So manipulation. 45, which means the boss will actually have 75 health. Only the strongest can resist its pull. So we'll set that with a set of D10s. To 75 health, and we'll put that on the soul jar, since that's essentially its health. Now we can move over to the main board where we can set up with the wizard and with the Lich's starting hands. So anyway, let's move over to the starting board. The wizard will be going first. So the wizard starts off with 50 health, and her campaign skills. First up, we have Fire Blast, which we can trash this to deal 4 damage to target monster or minion. And then we have Deep Channel, so if we expend this and spend 2 gold, we lose 1 health, but we look at the top 2 cards of the deck, draw 1 and put the other back. Then the starting hand for the wizard has 2 gold and 2 combat. Now we'll start working our way up toward the Lich. We'll take a look at our starting market first. I'm going to turn the glare on the left side down just a touch. That's white, so I need the red remote. It should be enough, but anyway. Alright, so we'll go ahead. We always have the fire gems available for sale, or for purchase. 2 gold, and you can trash those for an extra 3 combat. Starting out in the market, we have a Street Thug for 3 trade. You can expend to get either 1 gold or 2 combat. Next up is a Hit Job for 4 combat, or for 4 trade. Gets you 7 combat, and on an ally ability, stun target champion. Then Tyrannor the Devourer for 8 trade. Champion Demon. Oh, I forgot to mention on the champion, a non-guard champion of 4 health. 4 toughness, I should say. So for this, we can expend Tyrannor for 4 combat, and you may sacrifice up to 2 cards in your hand and or discard pile. Ally ability with the red faction is draw a card. Guard champion of 6 health. Now the difference between the 2 champions is this one doesn't have the guard thing on it, which means you can ignore it, whereas this one does have the guard on it, so you'd have to attack that first. If you're familiar with Star Realms as well, think the difference between outpost and non-outpost bases. It's the exact same idea. Anyway, next up in the market, taxation for 1 trade. You get 2 trade when you play it, and as an ally ability with the yellow faction, you gain 6 health. And a Death Cultist you can expend for 2 combat, guard of 3. Anyway, we've seen our hand. I'll take a look at the Lich's starting hand when we move up to it, but that should be everything we need. So I think we can move into the game, and we'll start off with the wizard's first turn. Alright, so we have the aforementioned, if I can ever get down here, 2 trade and 2 gold and 2 combat, which I'll hit the soul jar with that to bring it down to 73. And then for 2 trade, I'll grab the taxation for 1. And then if this is another one, I'll probably grab it as well. Otherwise, I'll just let it float away. It's a Tithe Priest for 2, so unfortunately the trade is going to float away. So that will move into my discard pile. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the wizard. Okay, we got some good stuff coming out here. But anyway, that will do it for the wizard's first turn. Now as I tip the camera up to the Lich, we can take a look at the Lich's starting hand. We have 2 trade. A soul diamond gain trade equal to the starting trade of the starting size of the party. So he has a total of 4 trade, a summoning, and 3 combat or stun target champion. So we do get our first summoning, which means the Lich, that's not going to fly for space, but anyway, our first summoning is a skeleton horde. Expend to gain combat equal to the starting size of the party, which once again is 1. So the minor summoning is done. So we have 3 combat, which the wizard will be getting hit with, down to 47. Up, down to 47, not 43. And for 4 trade, I think they will grab the hit job. And then replacing that in the trade row will be a Wolf Shaman for 2 trade. But anyway, all of that will move back to the Lich's discard pile. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We take a look at the... Okay, we're going to have a bit of trade for the Lich. And actually, they should have hit me for 1 more, I think. 3... Yeah, they should have hit me for 1 more from the Skeleton Horde. So the Wizard should be down to 46 right now. Anyway, and it's a somewhat uneventful round 1. Let's hope round 2 goes a little bit better for the Wizard, so let's drop into that. Alright, so for the Wizard, we have 2, 3, 4... The Cat Familiar action I can expend for 1 of any of them, and 2 combat. So I'll expend the Cat Familiar for another... For another trade to bring me to 5. I'll hit the Soul Jar... Hit the Soul Jar with the Ignite, or with the Ignite for 2 to bring it down to 71. And then for 5 trade, I'll start with the Wolf Shaman for 2, and then replacing it will be another Death Cultist for 2, which I will grab 1 of those for 2. And if this is a 1 I can take, I'll probably acquire it as well. It's an influence, but I might want that next anyway. So the Cat Familiar prepares. The 1 trade floats away. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And we'll shuffle the rest of this up. And 5, and I'll take a look at the Wizard's hand. Okay. Alright, now, tipping up to the Lich, play out his hand for the turn. So he's got 1 trade, he'll have another summoning, 1 combat, 3 more gold. So his next summoning is a zombie that he can expend for 2 combat, which he'll expend both of those minions to get 3 more combat, plus 1. The Frozen Touch also says, target defeated player discards their hand. You can target any defeated player, even if another player has stepped up. So what it means to step up with these boss decks, at least this one in particular, is once per game, I think it is, right? I've got the rules right here. Yes, once per game, any party member may step up and challenge the Lich. Actually, no, this is... Okay, yeah. Any party member may step up and challenge the Lich during their turn. If they do, no other player may be targeted, may be attacked by the Lich during its next turn unless that player is defeated. Note that the Lich may still target and attack all players' champions as normal, but each player may only step up once per game. So that's where the once per game was coming in. But anyway, that won't be relevant in a one-on-one situation. So 3 for trade, or 4 combat, I should say. Although they also have 4 trade. 2 of which will go to defeat the Cat Familiar, and then the Wizard will get hit for 2 to go down to 44. And then for 4 trade, I think they'll grab the Street Thug for 3. And replacing that will be Rayla Endweaver for 4, which they can't get. Although I probably can. But anyway, so these 2 will prepare. Then we'll shuffle this up. And now we've got to count. So now we're getting ready to shuffle. So if the number is more than 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's only 12 right now, which means the Lich still will not have access to that power. I may be tempted here to try to wipe out both of those champions, but I've got to see where my combat situation ends up coming out of this turn. Because I definitely don't want to let those two champions linger on the board. That will be the Lich's hand, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then with that, we'll be into round 3, and the Wizard needs to get these champions under control. We'll start off with the Arcane Wand, which will let the Wizard draw a card. The Wizard will draw another gold. The Arcane Wand also says for the rest of your turn when you play an action, gain 1 combat. Unfortunately, well, we have the Fire Staff for 1. If you have 2 or more actions and play draw a card, which we don't, we have, looks like 1, 2, 3, and the next action I buy costs 1 less for 5 trade. Well, I'll throw 1 at the zombie to take it out, which shuffles that back into the summoning deck. And then I'll end up throwing the 1 at the boss, because 4 won't get rid of that skeleton horde. But that skeleton horde definitely needs to be next on my list to take out. I could scrap the silver... I could sacrifice the Silver Skull Amulet to draw a card, which might not be a completely terrible idea right now. So I think I will. I'll go ahead and sacrifice that to draw a card. So the Wizard will draw another gold, which will bring me up to 6 total. One of which, remember, because the next action I acquire is for free, is 1 less. I'll go ahead and grab Influence with that, so I get 3 trade, and I can sacrifice it for 3 combat. So I'll have 5 trade left. Replacing that will be an Elven Gift for 2 combat, or for 2 trade. I get 2 trade when I play it, and I may draw a card if I do discard a card. Ally ability gives me 4. So I have 5 trade left. I think 4 of it will go to grab Rayla, because that seems very powerful. I could Fire Blast the Skeleton Horde clear. That may be a desperation play later on, but I can keep an eye on that. Then replacing Rayla will be Org Mercenary for 6 trade. Champion Ogre Warrior. I can expend him to get 4 combat. And I was going to throw the last combat at the Soul Jar to bring it down to 70. I think I am actually... we'll sit tight on that. I'll see what I draw for my next turn. But I do need to keep Fire Blasting the Skeleton Horde in mind as a potential option. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We see that I will be able to defeat that thing next turn, but anyway, we need to tip up to the Lich next. Take a look at his hand. Oh boy. Okay, this is going to be a big turn for the boss. So we'll start off with a Street Thug, which you can expend for 1 trade or 2 combat. Give me your gold, or I'll give you my knife. Well, that's rude. We got 1 trade here. We'll have a total of 3. Soul Crush and Hit Job to give the Lich 10 more combat. The ally ability is not relevant because they're not going to stun their own champion. So the Wizard gets hit for 10. Ouch. Bringing her down to 34. With another 2, 3... I think we'll expend those for combat to do another 3, bringing the Wizard down to 31. And then for 3 trade, they'll grab the Death Cultist for 2. Yeah, they'll grab the Death Cultist for 2. And then replacing that will be another Wolf Shaman for 2, so that will ultimately float away. But, alright, so the rest of these go to, so this all goes to the Lich's discard pile. The champions prepare. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the Lich's hand is ready. Ouch! We need to make some headway on those soul jars, but those champions are going to keep causing problems. To the point where I probably am going to have to Fire Blast one of them. So anyway, let's drop down to round 4 and get into the wizard's turn. Alright, so I've got 2 trade from an Ignite, I've got a Death Cultist who I'm going to expend for 2 more combat, and then a total of 4 trade. So I will take out the Skeleton Horde naturally, and then I'll Fire Blast the Street Thug, just to get him off the board. I'll go ahead and shuffle the Grimoire again. And then for 4 trade, I think I am kind of starting to hear the call of the wild at this point. So once I finish getting this shuffled up, I'll go ahead and grab another Wolf Shaman for 2. And unless this is something really good, I'm probably grabbing that Elven Gift next. Stone of Laughing Shadow for 6. I can sacrifice the top 3 cards of the market deck. This card becomes a copy of one of those cards, my choice, until the end of my main phase. It's still a guild item. Is that Blue Guild? Blue's Guild. Guild item relic in addition to the copied cards, faction, and types. Yeah, we're grabbing the Elven Gift. And then replacing it be a Master at Arms for 3 trade. I can expend him for 2 combat plus 1 other combat for each. Plus 1 combat for each other guard I have in play with a guard strength of 4. So the Runos Priest or the Death Cultist will unexhaust. 1, 2. We'll give this a shuffle. And I haven't been expending the Manipulation Soul Jar. I should probably be paying attention to that. Three, 4, 5. Okay, so we'll take a look at the hand. We're definitely going to start getting some powerful stuff out, but as we move up to the Lich, so we have 1. Looks like we have 1 summoning, and we're going to get 4 trade plus at least 1 combat. So the summoning is a Wall of Bones with a guard of 8. Yikes. Pray you don't become a part of it. Yeah, we're definitely going to be part of that. But anyway, the Lich will expend the Soul Manipulation to acquire the Man at Arms for free. And then replacing it will be Darien War Mage for 4 trade. Expend to get 3 combat or 4 health. For 4 trade, I think we will grab Darien to get the best card. So fortunately, the 1 combat will bounce off the Death Cultist. So I do need to take out that Wall of Bones soon. Replacing it will be Death Touch for 1. 2 trade, you may sacrifice a card in your hand or discard pile. Runos ally ability, actually that's Necros ally ability for 2 combat. So anyway, these all move back to the hand. 1, 2. Actually, I gotta count these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 12, 13, 14, 15. So we are starting to get close to corruption. We probably would be there already if I'd remembered the soul jar the first 2 rounds, but anyway. So now we need to punch through that wall of bones, and fast. Three, 4, 5. Okay. I'll take a look at that hand when I move to it, but anyway. Round 4 next, and the wizard now needs to get past that wall. This might be a good turn to try to do it, but anyway, we'll start off with the Arcane Wand. I draw a card for the rest of the turn. When I play an action, I gain 1 combat, so I draw Influence for 3 trade, and I can sacrifice this to get 3 combat, but I'm not sure I need to here. So I'll go ahead and play the Elven Gift, and I will draw a card for 2 trade if I do discard a card. So I draw spell components, and I'll discard just a plain old gold. Then I'll play out the Wolf Shaman, which will turn on the ally ability for the Elven Gift. Then I've also got Influence, an Ignite, and spell components. So 1 trade, and the next action I acquire costs me 1 less. Anyway, I'll go ahead and expend both of those. So I get another 5 combat because I've got 2 from the Death Cultist and then 2 from the Wolf Shaman plus 1 for the Elven Gift. So I'm at 5, 9 from the Elven Gift, 10, 11 from the Ignite, 12, 13, 14 from the 3 actions I played with the Arcane Wand. So that'll punch me through the Wall of Bones very handily, thank goodness. Right, that Wall of Bones hopefully is shuffled nice and deep into the Grimoire. But anyway, so that was an 8, which means I should have 6. I have 6 combat left, so I'll throw that at the soul jar to bring it down to 64. And then I've got 2, 5, 6 trade. And the first action I acquire is free, so that looks like a free Death Touch to me. Replacing that. Close ranks for 3 trade. 5 combat plus 2 for each champion I have in play, and an ally ability of 6 health for the Imperial faction. 6 trade, huh? Well, I think that'll be a Borg Ogre Mercenary, which will give me another expend for 4 combat and a guard of 6. And then replacing that in the trade row is a recruit for 2 trade. 2 gold, 3 combat, or 3 health, plus 1 health for each champion I have in play. Ally with the Imperial faction for another 1 health. Or for another 1 gold. Those move to the discard pile. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so now it looks like we're probably starting to somewhat take control of this game. But anyway, getting a little bit ahead of myself because champions prepare. Moving up to the Lich, we find that they get trade equal to the starting party, perform a summoning. Okay. Alright, so they perform a summoning first, which means we find Skeleton Horde's back again. Oh joy. Gain trade equal to the starting number of the party, or the starting size of the party, so champions go up there. So the summoning's done. Right, so Soul Crush will go into stunning the Death Cultist, because I've got to punch that, I've got to hit the guard first. So Soul Crush is handled. 2, 3, which bounces off the Wolf Shaman, but hits me for 3 to bring me down to 28. And then we've got 2 gold. Acquiring a card for 4 or less will get him Close Ranks. Then replacing that will be Death Touch for 1. You may sacrifice a card in your hand or discard pile. Necros ally ability for 2 trade. 2 trade, I think we'll just go with the Recruit to exhaust all of their trade. And this was replaced by another Recruit, which we just saw come out of the discard pile. So all of those go to the discard pile. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Those prepare. And we should be in round 6 now, and champions are starting to get out of control for the Lich's deck, but thankfully we're a little ways away from shuffling the deck. So let's see what we can do about maybe getting this board settled down. Another Wolf Shaman will help me out with that immensely. Then I've got 4 trade and 2 combat. I'll expend both of those to give myself a total of, to bring myself up to 8 combat, which I think will just wipe both of these champions out. Excuse me. Okay. Alright, so that takes care of my combat. Now what do I want to do with my trade? I think one will probably grab me another Death Touch. And then I've got 3 left after that, so I'll replace that with a Spark. 3 combat, target opponent discards a card. Combat ally ability with Elf, with the Wild is 2 combat. That'll go right to me. And replacing that, Varric the Necromancer. As an action, take a champion from my discard pile and put it on top of my, or expend it, take a champion from my discard pile and put it on top of my deck. Necros ally ability to draw a card. I wish I could get that. Then for 2, I think I'll grab Recruit. Replace that with Bribe for 3 trade. Get 3 trade, Guild ally ability, put the next action you acquire this turn on top of your deck. So those will prepare. This will move to the Wizard's discard pile. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we're about to get a couple of champions out, but I'm getting ahead of myself on that. Moving up to the Lich, we find 4, 5, a Death Cultist and a Frozen Touch. So Death Cultist and Frozen Touch. Both of which will give me 3 combat. Both of which will give 3 combat, which will hit the Wizard, bringing her down to 25. Then the Soul Jar will let the Lich acquire a cost of 4 or less for free, which will probably be the Bribe. And then replacing that will be a Rampage for 6, which gives you 6 combat, and you may draw up to 2 cards, then discard that many. For 5, I think it'll be Varric going to the Lich. Then replacing that will be another Man-at-Arms for 3 trade. We saw this earlier in the Lich's discard pile, so those prepare. I don't think we're shuffling the deck yet, but we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're just barely not. But anyway, so now we have a guard strength of 3 to deal with from the Death Cultist, but it's round 6 now, I think, so let's drop back down to the Wizard. We can definitely get through that Death Cultist this turn. The only question is how much are we going to be able to get through it? Or by how much, I should say. So we'll expend both of those for 3 trade, for 3 combat apiece. We'll play out Rayla Endweaver, which will give us another 3 to bring us up to 9. We've got 2 trade. We've got another combat and the Cat Familiar. I'll actually expend the Cat Familiar for a life here because I kind of need some health. I've been taking a little bit of a beating. So I'm up to 26. Yeah, I've got a total of 3, 6, 9, 10 combat, 3 of which will defeat the Death Cultist. And we'll take another 7 off of the Soul Jar to bring it down to 57. Let's see, then for 2 trade, I think I'm actually going to use that health and the 2 trade to do a deep channel, so I can look at the top 2 cards of my deck, which actually forces a shuffle here. I draw 1 and put the other back. Okay, so first up is a trade or gold and a Death Cultist. So I will take the Death Cultist here. I'll put the gold back on top, which I'll ultimately get anyway because I will be playing out I will be drawing a card from Rayla Endweaver. So I get the aforementioned gold, which actually does give me a decent... Actually, no, it doesn't give me a buy because I used Deep Channel. But anyway, what it does give me is another 2 combat that I can throw at the Soul Jar, and I will bring it down to 55. So the gold floats away. My champions will all prepare. And now we're almost getting to the point now where I just need like a turn or 2 where the Lich's attacks bounce off, and I can probably take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I can probably... The Wizard will probably take control of this game right here. Especially since we've got some good stuff coming out. I'm going to need... That is going to be very handy if I can get to it with my turn. But anyway, moving up to the Lich, we have a guard of 3 in front of him. So we are not going to have a guard of 3 in front of us for much longer. So we've got a hit job for 7 combat. That'll get the Soul Diamond will give 1 trade. Street Thug for a champion, which will turn on the ally ability for the hit job. Major Summoning to perform 1 summoning, and the War Mage. Oh boy! All right, so the ally ability will have to be used on the Death Cultist. We do get a summoning as well. This is going to be a big problem. So we find a Revenant that they can expend for 5 health or to stun an opposing champion. Jeez. Okay, so they'll acquire a card of cost 4 or less for free, which will be the Man-at-Arms again. And then acquiring that, or replacing that, will be the Rot for 4 trade. You may sacrifice a card in your hand or discard pile. Right, so they'll stun an opposing champion. They'll probably stun the Wolf Shaman, but I suspect they'll have way more than enough combat to run through all of my champions here. So 7, 10, 12. I'm trying to play... You'll notice I'm trying to play this like an actual person probably would. So they'll stun all 3 of my champions and hit me for 2 coming out of that, down to 23. And now I think I'm probably just past the point of no return, honestly. So for 1 trade... Actually, if they want to do that more efficiently, they probably would have trashed the Soul Diamond and just hit me with everything, which would have really hurt. But alas, I think I'm just going to leave it as is, because as things are, the 1 trade's going to float away. But as things are, I think I'm pretty much doomed here, most likely. So Right, in hand, in... So I don't... So I'm about to shuffle my deck, count the cards in my deck, in hand, and play, but I don't count from the Grimoire. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 21. So now they're shuffling, which means starting next turn, he has access to the power on the corruption, which means he'll perform a summoning and get action equal to, and get combat equal to the number of characters in the party, which thankfully is still 1. So, right. I suspect this may have been the finishing, that may have been the finishing blow, if I'm being perfectly honest. Because the Lich's wall right now is very much set up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But anyway, we're into round 8, I think, now. And yeah, I gotta try to salvage this mess somehow. It's amazing how one turn went from, ooh, I think I can turn the corner, to nope, you're not turning anything. Anyway, we'll start off with the Arcane Wand, which will let me draw a card and get a combat for the rest of the round. So, I find a guard champion, which hopefully will be helpful, but I doubt it. Anyway, so I'll play out the spell components, which gives me 1 trade, and the next action I acquire costs 1 less. What do you need that for? Borg Ogre Mercenary for 4 trade, or for 4 that I can expend for 4 combat. Recruit, which gives me 2 trade and 3 health plus 1 for every champion I have in play, which will be, so I gain 4 health from that, going back to 27. Then I've got 1 more trade and 3 more, so a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. And I'll trash Influence to get another... Actually, so I have 4 once I expend him. 5, 6, 9. I'll trash Influence. I'll sacrifice Influence because I need combat that badly. At the very least, I'm going to get the Revenant off the board if I can, because stunning that champion is going to be bad. Because stunning Borg right now is going to be very bad. He's basically my last line of defense at this point. And then I'll probably just go ahead and nail... all I can do right now is just nail the Street Thug. Discard piles over there. Alright, and then for 6 trade, with the first action I acquire costing me 1 less. Right? 3... Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4... Oh, 5, 6, 7, because I trashed Influence. That's right. So for 5 trade, I think I will grab Rampage. Then I've got 2 trade left, so replacing that will be Bounty Hunt for 6 trade, 3 gold, 3 trade, 3 gold, 4 combat, draw a card. Then for 2, I'll grab the Tithe Priest, and replacing that will be another recruit, which we've seen earlier. So I'll go ahead and prepare Borg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we'll see that I probably don't have much hope here, but moving up to the Lich, oh boy, yeah, I think we are probably hosed here, so we'll play out Varric Champion, Bribe for 3 trade, Major Summoning, which will get them a summoning in a minute, Hit Job, which turns the ally ability for both of these on, actually, and then Frozen Touch to gain more combat. So, we'll do the summoning first, so they get 1 summoning, which means they find the Skeleton Horde again. What fun. Alright, so the ally ability from Hit Job stuns Borg. Right, this is totally going well. We'll expend Varric to put the Street Thug back on top of the deck. Yeah, that's a problem. That'll be another 1, 4, 11, 12, which they'll hit the wizard with to bring her down to 15. And 3 trade, which will put the next action they acquire on top of their deck, which will probably be the Rot. So that'll go on top of their deck. And then replacing that will be another Bribe. Oh joy. Right, so all of this moves to the discard pile for the Lich. The champions prepare. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold on. I don't think I ever did the... Okay, hold up. Before we call it a turn. So they acquired, they didn't do the summoning. So their next summoning is an Abomination with a guard strength of 4, as if I didn't have enough problems. So they'll hit me for another 5, bringing me down to 10. Alright, so that prepares. And we'll draw that, and yeah, the Lich corrupting the city, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The Lich corrupting the city was not what I wanted to see here. And it happening so fast, but anyway. Round 10 coming up, and yeah, this is not going to last too much longer, I don't think, but let's give this a shot. My only chance right now is if this hand has 18 combat in it, and spoiler alert, I do not think it does in the slightest. But we'll try it. So, Elven Gift, I've got to... The problem is, I can't afford to draw a card here. The problem is, I can't afford to draw because I don't think I can discard anything here. I think both my Wolf Shamans right now are in... Yeah, they're in the discard pile. I don't think I can risk it. So that'll be 2, another 8 combat for a total of 12, and I can sacrifice 2 cards in my hand or discard pile. I'll sacrifice 2 gold, because right now those are just clogging up my deck. Alright, so 12 combat, 6 of which has to go to take out the Abomination. I'll put another 3 into Varric, because getting champions back repeatedly is going to be obnoxious. So 6, 3, 9. I can't take out either of those other 2 champions. Which means, but I can hit the Soul Jar for 2 for all the good that's likely going to do. So I'm down to 53. The problem is right now, then for 2 trade I'll take a Recruit. Replacing that... with Rake Master Assassin for 7 trade, I can expend him for 4 combat, and I may stun target champion with a non-guard strength of 7. But anyway, these will move to the discard pile. We'll draw up. The problem I have right now... 1, 2, 3... The problem I have right now is I'm taking a guaranteed 1, 2, 5 combat, and that's before... I'm taking a guaranteed 5 damage this turn, and that's before I even factor in anything about what's in the Lich's hand. So basically, I need to duck all the combat, but I'm pretty sure from various effects I was putting at least 4 combat on top of the deck. From various ally abilities, I'm pretty sure the Lich was putting at least 4 combat on top of the deck. But yeah, if we survive this turn, it's going to be a miracle. So let's move up to the Lich and see what happens. So we'll start off by acquiring a card of 4 or less for free, which I think will be the Bribe. Moving over, replacing that will be Command for 5 trade. It's an Imperial card. 2 trade, 3 combat, 4 health, and draw a card. Then we'll perform a summoning. The Lich will summon the Abomination. So yeah, I think we're probably just done here. 3, 4, 8 combat. Well, plus, so 3, 4, 8 plus 1 is 9. Yeah, we're going to get obliterated here. So another Man-at-Arms, a Recruit, which is 2 trade and 3 health plus 1 for each champion I have in play, which will end up being 5 ultimately. So, yeah, so they gain 8 health, going up to 61. Health. And 4 trade, or 4 so Close Ranks and the Rot. Close Ranks is 5 combat plus 2 for each champion you have in play. Give me a break. Okay, so, yeah. We're not even going to bother moving to... I just want to total up this combat. So that's plus 1 for each guard I have in play. So 2, 3. Okay, so we had 1 from the Corruption, 4, 5, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14. That's another 10, so... Actually, that's 15, so let me back this up. So 1, 4, 5, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, plus another 15 is 29, 33. Yeah, the Wizard's down to negative 23, so I think we're done here, which will result in the Wizard very much getting rocked. So let's move back up top to wrap this video up. So, yeah, I think the lesson coming out of this battle is that these boss decks are meant to be played with at least 2 players taking on the boss. Because that was pretty one-sided, I would say. And it's a good thing I decided going into this video that I wasn't going to count this against the loss limit. Because I wanted to try one of these boss decks out, and yeah, I definitely got hammered in this video. But anyway... that will do it for this visit to the background campaign for Hero Realms. Next week, we're going to feature a brand new game on the channel as we play Gaia Project. Thank you for watching the video. Please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get my content. Be well, stay safe, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and I'll be back with more videos in the future. Until then, take care everyone.